Muy buenos días a todas y todos. Un saludo respetuoso al doctor John Innes, decano de la Facultad de Silvicultura de la Universidad de Columbia Británica de Canadá, y al equipo de colaboradores de la Red Asia-Pacífico para el Manejo Sostenible y la Restauración de Bosques, incluyendo a la maestra Califi Ferretti Galón, gerente de oficina para las Américas de esa red, a quienes reconocemos por su misión, objetivos y atributos de trabajo, y agradecemos su apoyo y compromiso en la coorganización de esta Semana Internacional de seminarios virtuales para promover los beneficios de los bosques en la salud pública. Saludo también a las personas que nos acompañan en este evento a través de las redes sociales. Durante este periodo conoceremos un área de investigación emergente denominada terapia forestal, tema que en otros países se ha elevado ya a nivel de políticas públicas. Nos sentimos honrados de contar con la participación de renombrados especialistas y profesionales de Alemania, Canadá, Corea del Sur, Estados Unidos, Japón, Puerto Rico y México, de quienes estamos seguros aprenderemos de sus saberes, investigaciones, experiencias y recomendaciones. La realización de esta serie de webinars de colaboración internacional es resultado de la suma de voluntades y esfuerzos, lo cual reconocemos y celebramos. Asimismo, buscamos generar sinergias con aquellos sectores relacionados con la salud, el medio ambiente, las comunidades, la educación, el manejo de bosques, parques públicos y áreas verdes, y de la administración pública en general. Desde la Secretaría del Medio Ambiente y Recursos Naturales de México, a través de esta comisión, tenemos un gran interés de dar a conocer y promover a través de esta importante Semana Internacional de Seminarios Virtuales los beneficios de la naturaleza, los bosques y las áreas verdes en la salud pública en México, así como promover el interés de otros países, especialmente de América Latina y el Caribe. Tenemos la motivación de aprender sobre el tema y colaborar con los actores interesados para que se reconozca la contribución del bosque y los espacios verdes urbanos a la salud humana, física y mental. Antes de celebrar este evento, iniciamos a incursionar sobre el tema. El año pasado, el Instituto de Salud Mental del Estado de Durango nos invitó a participar en este evento pionero en el tema a nivel nacional. Fue el Congreso Estatal sobre Salud Mental y Medio Ambiente, en el que, gracias al apoyo del Servicio Forestal de los Estados Unidos, tuvimos el honor de contar con la participación de la doctora y estimada Kathleen Wolf, investigadora en Ciencias Sociales en la Universidad de Washington, Estados Unidos, quien nos brindó dos ponencias: Naturaleza urbana y salud humana, la evidencia de la investigación, y Naturaleza urbana y bienestar humano, salud mental. La doctora Wolf también nos acompañará afortunadamente en el panel de discusión que tendrá lugar el viernes 16 de octubre. Continuando con este interés, el presente año llevamos a cabo 2 seminarios virtuales con expertos nacionales. El primero, con el doctor Arturo Curiel y la doctora Guadalupe Garibay, profesores e investigadores titulares de la Universidad de Guadalajara, quienes realizan importantes investigaciones sobre los beneficios de los bosques en la salud física y mental en la ciudad de Zapopan, Jalisco, México. El segundo, con la maestra Paula Pilloan, guía certificada en terapia forestal por la Asociación de Naturaleza y Terapia Forestal, quienes nos compartió de su experiencia práctica en el tema los beneficios que genera crear conexiones con la naturaleza y nos brindó una pequeña práctica de terapia forestal guiada de manera virtual. La maestra Pilloan también, afortunadamente, nos acompañará en este evento durante el panel de discusión que se sostendrá el próximo viernes. La pandemia del COVID-19 ha tenido un gran impacto en los sistemas de salud, así como en las economías y las sociedades de todo el mundo. En este periodo, hemos valorado más que nunca la salud y la pandemia ha representado no solo una amenaza a nuestra salud física, sino también a nuestra salud mental. Bajo este contexto, se vuelve aún más relevante conocer, promover y aprovechar los efectos terapéuticos que proveen los bosques y los espacios verdes. La naturaleza es reconocida cada vez más como un determinante influyente en la salud y el bienestar, y cada vez hay más pruebas de que el acceso a los bosques y las áreas verdes tienen beneficios físicos, psicológicos y sociales. Terminaría destacando los objetivos que se persiguen en este evento. Compartir el estado actual del conocimiento internacional sobre los bosques y la salud humana. Identificar áreas que se beneficiarían de una mayor investigación sobre los bosques y la salud humana y promover colaboraciones de asociaciones internacionales, nacionales y locales para facilitar la promoción de este tema y su investigación. Promover su difusión y el desarrollo de políticas públicas en los distintos niveles, federal, estatal y municipal. Y propiciar la implementación de proyectos con usuarios potenciales vinculados con la salud, el medio ambiente, los bosques, parques y áreas verdes. Gracias y bienvenidos todos.
Hello, my name is John Innes. I have the honor of being the Dean of the Faculty of Forestry at the University of British Columbia. I'd like to welcome you to this webinar series on forest therapy. The webinar series is being jointly organized by Conifor and Seminrat and the University of British Columbia. We're very pleased to have the support of the Asia Pacific Network for Sustainable Forest Management and Rehabilitation. This is a one-of-a-kind webinar series. As far as I know, it's never been done before in the field of forest therapy, and we've succeeded in bringing together experts from around the world who you will hear from in the coming presentations and learn about the current state of knowledge in forest therapy. Why would we be working with Mexico and China on this? You can see here a map of the world. Normally maps of the world focus on Europe. We prefer this map because I think it shows where we are located and why we would be working together with countries around the Pacific Rim. Let me tell you something about the University of British Columbia. We are one of the top universities in the world. We're ranked number 34 generally in the Times Higher Education ranking. We are large by any standards with 16 faculties, 18 schools and 2 colleges, as well as 65,000 students, of which 24% are international. We have a very significant impact on the economy of British Columbia, around about 12.5 billion a year. And we are a major research-intensive university, bringing in round about $658 million a year. We're located in Vancouver, which is frequently ranked as one of the most livable cities in the world, based on its climate, its location, and its role as a gateway to Asia. From the perspective of forest therapy, Vancouver combines water, trees, and snow-capped mountains with clean air, all essential elements of forest therapy. It's a key center for science and technology development in North America and has a booming movie industry, a growing high-tech industry. It's traditionally had a very strong natural resources sector, and up till this year, we had a very strong tourism sector. Unfortunately, COVID has knocked that right back, and there hasn't been a single cruise ship, for example, coming into Vancouver this year. I'd like to tell you a little bit about UBC Forestry and some of the programs that we are offering and link that back to the idea of forest therapy. We have 6 Bachelor of Science degrees and a Bachelor of Urban Forestry degree, all with a combination of majors and co-op options. They cover the areas of conservation of natural resources, forestry, forest sciences, wood science, the bioeconomy, and urban forestry. And as I said, each of those has a number of options within them. The Forest Resources Management major deals with a variety of topics, including wildlife, fisheries, range, recreation, water, and timber. The field schools are an integral part of the forestry programs, although this year we've had to put them on hold, but we anticipate catching up next year. Students from this program are eligible to become registered professional foresters after a 2-year probation period. We involve a lot of skills, including GIS, remote sensing, and modeling. Our forest operations major is related to the harvesting of timber and trees. It's what you might call traditional forestry. It's aimed at maximizing economic returns while minimizing environmental impacts. And students in this program generally either become professional foresters or professional engineers. Our forest science program is training the future scientists of the forestry world, and it tells students about scientific principles related to the growth and development of forest organisms and the ecology of plant and animal communities. Students specialize in particular areas, and we also have an international specialization. We pride ourselves on extending from genes all the way up to landscapes. Our natural resources conservation is divided into 2 separate streams. The first deals with science and management, and this is about the conservation and management of renewable natural resources. It has an integrated conservation field school, which is a 4th-year semester-long course divided into modules. It's very rigorous in terms of natural science, and at the same time exposes students to issues related to conservation planning in the Pacific Northwest. The Global Perspectives major, on the other hand, is aimed primarily at international students, but is increasingly being taken by domestic students. And this is looking at the conservation and management of renewable and non-renewable resources, policy formation and planning, all within a global context. Our wood products processing is an award-winning program fusing science, engineering, and business, and it was developed by industry in direct response to an increasing demand for technologically capable students in the field of wood products processing. Students get a very comprehensive education related to wood science, to the business of wood processing, and to advanced manufacturing operations. You can see here a picture of what we call our tall wood building. This was actually the tallest wooden building in the world for a number of months, a couple of years ago, and there's only 2 or 3 buildings that now exceed it in size. This program benefits from having access to the Center for Advanced Wood Products Processing, and in this center we have state-of-the-art equipment related to manufacturing of wood products. The result of all of this, of course, is wood and the use of wood in buildings, in architecture, in design, and that has direct links to forest therapy. Another program that we have deals with bioeconomy, science and technology. This is a new program introducing students to the circular bioeconomy. It covers all aspects of the newer uses of wood and bamboo and the possibilities of replacing fossil fuels with renewable materials. As an example of the sort of work that is undertaken under this, we've been looking at how aviation biofuel could be replaced with a forest-based product that would save huge amounts of CO2 emissions each year. Our urban forestry is the 6th program, and that is about planning and managing urban and green spaces and ecosystems. It's looking at human welfare, ecological health, and the protection of our cities' support systems. It's also looking at the design of cities and the use of green materials throughout cities. Some examples are shown here. We also offer 4 one-year course-based master's degrees. They cover the areas of sustainable forest management, geomatics and environmental management, international forestry, and urban forestry leadership. These are one-year programs. They are very intensive, but the students come out ready to take on employment, and what we find is employers really like the students coming out of this. So why would we be concerned about health? In many parts of the world, forests are seen as an important component of human health and have been for hundreds, if not thousands of years. The healing properties of forests were long recognized in countries like China, Japan, and Korea, but they were also recognized in European countries like Germany and Austria. For a while, the concept of forest bathing became very fashionable. That's essentially getting out into a forest as both a means of preventing illness and promoting recovery, although that has largely been subsumed into the concept of forest recreation. However, what we are now seeing is more and more organizations and companies marketing themselves on the possibilities of forest bathing. I believe it's actually a lot more scientific than most people realize. And when we go to Asia, we can go to sites like this. It's a site on Jeju Island in Korea, dominated by Tori nucifera. And I believe that forest bathing sites were actually very carefully selected for the composition of the chemicals present in the air in these specific forests. I don't think it is just any old forest that can be used. It's very specific types of forest. However, what we have seen is this concept being adopted in the popular media. And just looking at Amazon the other day, I found 6 books immediately when I searched on forest bathing, and you can see them all here. Some of these are a lot more scientific than others, and I would be quite careful as to which ones I would recommend to students to read. In relation to our educational programs, we believe forests and health are central. Our forest management program is all about access to forests. It's about aesthetics, clean water and air. These are issues that can affect the way that forest therapy benefits people. If there's no access to forests, for example, then there are no therapeutic benefits. A forest science program actually has a medical doctor in it, and that program looks at health effects, allergies, the stimuli that forests can provide for brain activities, and recuperative impacts. So there's a wide range of things that we are looking at. In wood science, we've been particularly concerned about the use of wood in architecture and aesthetics, and we've done studies that have shown that a person in a room that has wood walls and a view of a green space tends to recover more quickly than those in a standard hospital environment. Our urban forestry program is obviously closely related to forest therapy and deals with a lot of issues like access to green space, the values of different types of green space, cultural interactions with green spaces, and so on. And then finally, conservation plays a role in here because we have the issues related to rare species, the benefits that people can get from seeing a rare species if they understand it. And there's also the both positive and negative aspects of human-wildlife encounters. In terms of international cooperation, I think I'd like to mention that collaboration in forest research is one of the oldest forms of international academic cooperation. The International Union of Forest Research Organizations was one of the first organizations in the world to promote international research cooperation and is actually one of the oldest NGOs in the world, beaten only by the Red Cross. So research internationally in forestry was going on well before research internationally in any other subject. We've seen a continuation of bilateral and multilateral cooperation, and I believe that those who've been involved with it have greatly benefited. Now we have APFNet, and I'd just like to mention that APFNet is promoting both scientific cooperation and education in forestry, and that is benefiting all the member economies greatly. So in conclusion, it's quite clear to me that issues related to human health are becoming increasingly important to the forestry world. In the past, that was often the worries that diseases might move from forests to human populations, but now we are seeing far more complex interactions occurring. We need forests, and we need to be exposed to forests. That growth in interest was happening before the pandemic, but COVID-19 has actually accelerated the trend. And as more and more countries went into lockdown, people began to realize what they were missing and the opportunities that they were missing. And I think have now a new view about the importance of access to green space. We've seen the whole issue of forest therapy moving from a fringe topic to mainstream, and I think this webinar series is a great example of showing how important it is. There's still a lot of research needed, and this needs to be integrated into education. Thank you very much for listening to this presentation, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of the webinars. Thank you.
Karina López y colaboro en la Unidad de Asuntos Internacionales y Fomento Financiero de la CONAFOR. Muchas gracias por acompañarnos a la Semana Internacional de Seminarios Virtuales para promover los beneficios de los bosques en la salud pública, la cual organizamos entre la Comisión Nacional Forestal de México y la Universidad de Columbia Británica de Canadá, gracias al apoyo de la Red Asia-Pacífico para el Manejo Sostenible y la Restauración de Bosques APFNet. Les recordamos que este y todos los seminarios virtuales de esta semana quedarán grabados en la página de Facebook y en la página oficial de YouTube de la CONAFOR. Asimismo, todo el material que se comparta esta semana estará disponible en esta publicación para su descarga. Invitamos a todas y todos los asistentes a enviar sus dudas y comentarios por la página de Facebook, los cuales haremos llegar a los expertos y nos servirán para enriquecer el panel de investigadores y profesionales que llevaremos a cabo el próximo viernes. En primer lugar, permítanme presentarles al Dr. Xin Li. Es miembro fundador y presidente de la Sociedad Japonesa de Medicina Forestal, miembro destacado del Grupo de Trabajo sobre Bosques y Salud Humana, vicepresidente y secretario general de la Sociedad Internacional de Medicina de la Naturaleza y los Bosques, y uno de los directores de la Sociedad de Terapia Forestal en Japón. También es el vicepresidente administrativo de investigación sobre el mantenimiento de la salud forestal de la Federación Mundial de Sociedades de Medicina China. Es el mayor experto mundial en inmunología y medicina forestal. Ha sido doctor médico en Misato Care Center en la prefectura de Saitama, Japón, en el Departamento de Rehabilitación y Medicina Física, en el Hospital de la Nippon Medical School, profesor asociado de esa escuela de medicina en Tokio, y miembro visitante en la Escuela de Medicina de la Universidad de Stanford. Comenzó la investigación de la medicina forestal Shinrin-yoku a partir de 2004 y ha publicado numerosos artículos sobre medicina forestal en revistas científicas. Estableció la nueva ciencia, medicina forestal, y publicó el libro Forest Medicine en 2012 en los Estados Unidos. En 2018, en el Reino Unido, el libro Shinrin-yoku, El arte y la ciencia de los baños de bosque, cómo los árboles pueden ayudarlo a encontrar salud y felicidad. Y coeditó el libro internacional International Handbook of Forest Therapy en 2019. Es doctor en medicina y doctor en filosofía. A continuación, los invitamos a su presentación. Introducción a la terapia forestal. Efectos de la terapia forestal Shinrin-yoku en la salud humana y la posible prevención de COVID-19.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Qing Li from Japan. Thank you very much for the invitation. I will talk about the forest therapy today. So I will prepare my slide. Please wait a moment. Hello again. So I'm Dr. Qing Li from Japan, and I'm the president of Japanese Society of Forest Medicine and the vice president and the general secretary of International Society of Nature and Forest Medicine in Form, and the director of Forest Therapy Society in Japan, and the managing vice chairperson of the Forest Health Maintenance Research of the World Federation of Chinese Medicine Society. So today I will talk about the introduction to forest therapy, effects of forest Beijing Shinrin-yoku forest therapy on home health, and the potential prevention of COVID-19. So let's start the presentation. So the outbreak of COVID-19 on October 6, since the first outbreak of the new virus at the end of December last year, more than 35 million people have been infected in 196 countries and regions so far. Death toll increased to over 1 million people. Immune function and COVID-19. Elderly people with impaired immune function are more likely to develop the disease and become more severe, and the mortality rate is also higher. Patients with underlying disease such as diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, and respiratory diseases are also easy to get serious and have a higher mortality rate because of the reduced immune function in these patients. Therefore, forest immune function is very important to prevent the COVID-19. In fact, Shinrin-yoku boosts immune function. I will show you the data later. Therefore, Shinrin-yoku may have preventive effect on COVID-19. Mental stress and the outbreak of COVID-19. Mental stress and various mental disorders due to lockdown and isolation are also major social problems. In fact, Shinrin-yoku reduces the symptoms of anxiety, depression, anger, fatigue, and confusion, reduces stress and stress hormones, and increases vigor. I will show you later. I will show you the data later. Therefore, Shinrin-yoku may have preventive effect on COVID-19 induced mental stress and mental disorders. My new books, Shinrin-yoku and Forest Beijing. In 2018, Penguin Random House in the UK published my book, Shinrin-yoku. The book also was published in the USA under the title of the Forest Beijing in 2018 by Viking Books. In fact, the book has been translated into 25 languages, including Spanish. So this is cover of the translation. This is a Dutch edition, French edition, Finnish edition, Hungary, Portuguese, Spanish, Italia, Lithuania, German, Romania, Polish, Slovak, Czech, Russia, Korea, Swedish, traditional Chinese, Danish, Slovenia, Vietnamese, it is, you name it. And the fourth Beijing in America rocketed in the bestseller list in 2018. And this is the Spanish edition as the Japanese edition. So why Xingling Yoku fourth Beijing is so popular in the world? Because Xingling Yoku fourth Beijing has been developed from a feeling to a science. What is fourth Beijing? Xingling Yoku. Researchers in Japan have tried to find a new method to reduce stress by visiting forests and have proposed a new concept called the Xingling Yoku or fourth Beijing. Xingling in Japanese means forest, and Yoku means bus. So Xingling Yoku means breathing the fourth atmosphere or taking the fourth through our senses. This is not exercise or hiking or jogging. It's simply being nature, connecting with it through our sense of the sight, hearing, taste, smell, and touch. Xingling Yoku is like a bridge. By opening our senses, it bridges the gap between us and the natural world. So how to enjoy fourth Beijing? So people can enjoy fourth Beijing through five senses. Sense of the sight, green color, fourth landscape. Sense of the smell, special good smell, fragrance. Sense of the hearing, forest sound, bird sound. Sense of the touch, touching trees, put your whole body in the forest atmosphere. Sense of the taste, eating food from forest, taste the fresh air in forest. Why fourth Beijing and the background? This figure shows the situation of works with strong anxiety and stress in Japan. In Japan, since the 1980s, over 50% worked under the strong anxiety and stress. So it's a big social problem. In fact, stress is a key word to understand the background of the fourth Beijing. Stress can induce many diseases such as cancers, hypertension, depression, cardiovascular diseases, stroke, gastric ulcer, obesity, alcoholism, panic disorder, eating disorder, you name it. On the other hand, fourth Beijing can reduce stress. Why fourth Beijing as a background? Based on the above background, in Japan, a national health program for fourth Beijing was proposed by the fourth agency of Japan in 1982 for reducing stress in works. In 2004, the fourth agency of Japan organized a project team to investigate the effect of fourth Beijing on home health. I was invited as a main member of the project team. Some people study fourth, some people study medicine. I studied fourth medicine to find the beneficial effects of fourth Beijing on home health. My hypothesis: relationship between Xingling Yoku and immune function. It's well known that the immune system, including natural killer cells, NK cells, play an important role in defense against bacteria, viruses, and tumors. It's also well known that stress inhibits immune function. Fourth Beijing, Xingling Yoku may reduce stress. Therefore, I speculated that fourth environment, Xingling Yoku, fourth Beijing, may have beneficial effect on immune function by reducing stress. Natural killer cells. It's well known that the immune system, including natural killer NK cells, play an important role in defense against bacteria, virus, and tumors. People with lower NK activity show higher incidence rate of cancer, whereas people with higher NK activity show lower incidence rate of cancer in both males and females. From these findings, you can find the importance of NK cells for human health. Therefore, I decided to study the effect of forbidding on immune function. Mechanism of NK-induced tumor cell death. So NK cell can release three kinds of anti-cancer protein, granzymes, perforin, and granules to kill tumor cells. Today's topics: effect of forbidding on human immune function, effect of forbidding on stress hormones, effect of forbidding on psychological responses, effect of forbidding on blood pressure and heart rate, effect of forbidding on prevention of COVID-19. First, forbidding boosts human immune function. The first forbidding Shinryoku study in Japan in the world. In 2005, I conducted the first forbidding study in Iyama, Nagano Prefecture, Japan. I published the data in this paper. Forbidding enhances human natural killer activity and expression of anti-cancer proteins. International Journal, Immunopathology and Pharmacology. In fact, the terms of the forbidding and Shinryoku in English were first used and defined in this paper. So those pictures show the subjects were enjoying the forbidding in 2005. Well, beautiful for it. Take rest. So subjects were taking a rest in the forest in 2005. So it's a big Japanese city forest, but beautiful forest. So this is the result. This figure shows that forbidding significantly increased hormone NK activity in males. This NK activity before the forbidding, day 1, day 2, till the forbidding. I published the data in this journal, International Journal, Immunopathology and Pharmacology. So, question: why does forbidding increase hormone NK activity? Answer why. Answer why. The number of NK cells increased. Answer 2. The intracellular anti-cancer protein increased. This figure shows that forbidding significantly increased the number of NK cells in males, NK number cells. Before forbidding, day 1, day 2, till the forbidding. So this figure shows the forbidding significantly increased the anti-cancer proteins, granulation, perforin, granzymes A, and granzyme B. Before the forbidding, day 1, day 2, before day 1, day 2, before day 1, day 2, before day 1, day 2. And the second and the third forbidding Shinryoku study in Japan. The sustained effect of forbidding. In 2006 and 2007, I conducted the second and the third forbidding study in Agasawa, the birthplace of forbidding in Japan, and Shinano-Tao, Nagano Prefecture, to investigate the sustained effect of forbidding, and the result was published as follows. This is from male subject. Visiting a forest but not a city increases hormone natural killer activity and expression anti-cancer protein. For females, a forbidding trip increases hormone natural killer activity and the expression of anti-cancer proteins in female subject. So this is the Japanese substitution, the birthplace of Fort Beijing in Japan. So the birthplace of Fort Beijing in Japan, there are no mosquitoes in the forest because of the fragrance of the forest. Maybe you don't believe it, but it's true. Yeah, it's high cheese. Female subject enjoy the forest bathing. Very beautiful forest, romantic. Forest female subject enjoy the forest bathing. Very beautiful forest. So this is the result. This figure shows that forest bathing increased NK activity, and this effect lasted for 30 days in both males and females. Male and female NK activity. Before forest bathing, day 1, day 2, during forest bathing, day 7, day 30, after forest bathing. So this figure shows that forest bathing increased NK cells, and this effect lasted for 30 days in both males and females, male, female, NK cells. Before the forest bathing, day 1, day 2, during the forest bathing, day 7, day 30, after the forest bathing, published in the 2 papers. And this figure shows that forest bathing increases intracellular anti-cancer proteins, and this effect lasted for 30 days in both males and females, male and female, preferring coenzyme A, coenzyme B granulation. Before the forest bathing, day 1, day 2, during the forest bathing, day 7, day 30, after forest bathing. Next, forest bathing reduces stress hormone. This is Jomusuke is a big Japanese cedar. So this figure shows that forest bathing reduces urinary adrenaline, whereas a city trip doesn't affect this. Adrenaline is a stress hormone. Forest bathing trip, city trip. Before the forest bathing, day 1, day 2. Before the city trip, day 1, day 2. It's a big reduction. This figure shows that forest bathing reduced urinary adrenaline and noradrenaline in females. Adrenaline and noradrenaline are stress hormones. In fact, adrenaline is a mental stress marker, and noradrenaline is a physical stress marker. This is adrenaline, noradrenaline. Before the forest bathing, day 1, day 2. Before day 1, day 2, big reduction. This figure shows that forest bathing is more effective on the mental stress. This figure shows that forest bathing reduced cortisol in serum in males. Cortisol is another stress hormone. Before the forest bathing, day 2, day 7, after forest bathing. So this is the paper. A day trip to Forest Park increases hormone natural killer activity and the expression of the anti-cancer proteins in male subject. So from this figure, you can find that forest bathing can reduce all the stress hormone. This figure shows a mechanism of forest bathing induced NK activity. So forest bathing can increase NK activity by 2 pathways. The first pathway is a direct pathway. So forest bathing acts on the NK cells, increase the number of NK cells, and the anti-cancer protein enzymes performing and granulation. And result, NK activity increase. The second pathway is forest bathing reduce stress, because stress can inhibit hormone immune function. So forest bathing can increase NK activity by reducing stress. Next, forest bathing reduce negative emotions and increase positive feelings. So this figure shows that forest bathing reduced the scores of anxiety, depression, anger, fatigue, and confusion, whereas increased the score of vigor. This is before the forbidden, after forbidden. Anger, anxiety, depression, anger, fatigue, confusion, and the vigor. Next, forbidden, reduce blood pressure and heart rate. Forbidden experiment. Male subject enjoy forbidden. So it's a cultural experiment, urban tour. So this is the result. This figure shows that forbidden reduces blood pressure compared with the city walking. Blood pressure will decrease about 7 to 8 milli-Hg by forbidden. So this line shows the city walking. This line shows the forbidden. This SBS. This is the DB, SBP and DBP. Systolic blood pressure and diastolic blood pressure. So after forbidden, there are big reduction in the SBP and DBP. This figure shows that forbidden reduce heart rate. This is city walking. This is forbidden. The same physical activity at the same person but different day. So big reduction in the heart rate. This figure shows the mechanism of Shinryoku of blood pressure. So Shinryoku can reduce the adrenaline, noradrenaline, and cortisol. As a result, blood pressure decreased. Shinryoku also can reduce the activity of sympathetic nerves and increase the activity of parasympathetic nerves. As a result, blood pressure decreased. And forbidden Shinryoku also can reduce stress to reduce blood pressure. Next, effect of walking in city parks in Tokyo on human health, relaxing effect. So this is Shinjuku-gyoin, very famous, beautiful city park in Tokyo. This is my subject, my student. So this is the result. Forbidden in city park reduce the score of anxiety, depression, anger, fatigue, and confusion, whereas increase the score of the vigor. This is Shinjuku-gyoin. Before the forbidden, after, before, after. And it's tension, anxiety, depression, anger, hostility, vigor, and it's fatigue, it's confusion. Another forbidden, Institute for Nature Study in Tokyo. It's a very beautiful city park. This result, Shinryoku in city park reduced the scores of anxiety, depression, anger, fatigue, and confusion, whereas increased the score of the vigor. Meiji Jingu. This is also a very famous city park in Tokyo. Result, same. Shinryoku in city park reduced the score of the anxiety, depression, anger, fatigue, and confusion, whereas increased the score of the vigor. The Rikukin Gardens in Tokyo, another famous, but beautiful for a city park in Tokyo. The result, the same. Shinryoku in city park reduce the score of the anxiety, depression, anger, fatigue, and confusion, whereas increase the score of the vigor. Showa Kinen Park in Tokyo, a very big and beautiful city park in Tokyo. The result, very similar. Shinryoku City Park reduced the score of the anxiety, depression, anger, fatigue, and confusion, whereas increase the score of the vigor. and another Yoyogi Park in Tokyo. Result very similar. And another, this is Kokyo Gain National Guards in Tokyo. This is, about 100 subjects. So for Beijing in City Park, reduce the score of the anxiety, depression, anger, fatigue, and confusion, whereas increase the score of the vigor. Right. Yes, we repeat the experiment many times. In fact, a shopping street without trees doesn't have the effect. There was no effect walking at the shopping street without trees in Tokyo. This is before, after. So next, I will introduce the new science, forest medicine. On July 5th, 2010, the New York Times reported our studies and cite our four papers. So after this report, a publisher in New York invited me to write a book, Forest Medicine, and the book was published in 2012. What is forest medicine? Since 2004, we have conducted many studies to investigate the effect of forest bathing on human health. We have established a new science, forest medicine, and published the book Forest Medicine in 2012. Imagine a new medical science that could let you know how to be more active, more relaxed, and healthier, with reduced stress and reduced risk of lifestyle-related diseases and cancer by visiting forests. This new medical science is called forest medicine. Forest medicine is a new interdisciplinary science belonging to the categories of environment medicine and preventive medicine, which studies the effect of forest environment on human health. This is forest medicine English edition, Chinese translation edition, Korean translation edition. So next, I will show the preventive effects of Shinrin-yoku on lifestyle-related diseases. So Shinrin-yoku can increase the activity of natural killer cells. So immune cells that play an important role in defense against bacteria, viruses, and tumors. So has a potential preventive effect on cancers. So Shinrin-yoku can reduce blood pressure and heart rate, has a potential preventive effect on hypertension, cardiovascular disease, reduce stress and stress hormones, has an effect on stress management, increases activity of parasympathetic nervous system, part of the rest and recover, and reduce the activity of the sympathetic nervous system, part of the fight or flight, producing psychological calming effects, has a potential preventive effect on depression and mental disorder. Preventive effects of Shinrin-yoku on lifestyle-related diseases. Reduce symptoms of anxiety, depression, anger, fatigue, and confusion. Has a potential preventive effect on depression. Improve sleep. Has a potential preventive effect on sleep disorder. Increase energy. Keeps health status. Potential preventive effects on lifestyle-related diseases by reducing stress. Preventive effects of forest bathing on COVID-19. Increase immune function has a preventive effect on COVID-19. Reduce blood pressure and heart rate has a preventive effect on hypertension and heart disease to prevent COVID-19. Reduce mental stress and stress hormones has an effect on stress management for COVID-19. Reduce symptoms of anxiety, depression, anger, fatigue, and confusion. Increase vigor has a preventive effect of mental disorders induced by COVID-19. Next, I show the future development of forest medicine. Based on the above background, I would like to propose the future development of forest medicine to expand the philosophy of forest medicine into global wellness field in the world, to verify the preventive effects of forest medicine on lifestyle-related disease in the world, to establish an international certification system for forest medicine specialists and forest therapists, to establish the Xinyin yoke forest medicine as a treatment for some lifestyle-related diseases, to apply the Xinyin yoke forest medicine into rehabilitation medicine. The Society of Forest Medicine established in 2007. The homepage opened in Japanese, English, and Chinese. I'm the president of the society. International Society of Nature and Forest Medicine, Inform, established in 2011. I'm the vice president and the secretary general. And the Forest Therapy Society in Japan, there are 63 forest therapy bases in Japan. I'm the director of the society. So many TV reported my research is a Fuji TV news speaker, very famous TV program in Japan. It's 2005 when I was young. The Japanese Times in 2008. And the interview from Bloomberg TV in 2009. And a very famous American journal, American Scientist, reported my research. BBC Radio in 2012, the title, The Secret Power of Trees. I talked about the forest medicine for 30 minutes. BBC World News in 2018, and French Radio in 2018. German TV interview at my lab, 2016. And French TV interview at the Nippon Medical School in Japan, 2016. NHK TV interview is a Japanese famous program. NHK program are 2018, April 27th, about phytoncide. And the Nippon Medical School website. And Harvard invited me to have a lecture on forest therapy in 2013. So this one, I had a lecture, effect of forest bathing on human health. So let's go to forest bathing to overcome the COVID-19. Thank you very much for your attention. Have a nice day. Okay, bye-bye. Have a nice day. Thank you very much for your attention. Goodbye.
como a nosotros. Asimismo, les solicitamos que nos envíen sus comentarios y dudas a través de nuestra página de Facebook de la CONAFOR. Continuaremos con la presentación del Dr. Andreas Mikkelsen, titulada Medicina Forestal para la prevención y el tratamiento de enfermedades crónicas, pruebas actuales y direcciones de la investigación alemana. Antes, permítanme presentarles al Dr. Mikkelsen, director, médico jefe y presidente de Medicina Complementaria e Integrativa del Centro Médico de la Universidad Charité de Berlín. Cuenta con diferentes certificaciones de la Junta de Medicina Interna, Medicina de Cuidados Intensivos, Medicina Nutricional, Medicina Física y Rehabilitación, Medicina Complementaria e Integrativa. Sus áreas de especialización son ensayos clínicos, ayuno y nutrición, modificación del estilo de vida, medicina, cuerpo-mente, meditación y yoga, medicina forestal, dolor crónico, enfermedades metabólicas. Además, el Dr. Mikkelsen cuenta con un vasto número de publicaciones, entre ellas más de 200 publicaciones científicas y 160 publicaciones en revistas revisadas por pares. Es doctor en medicina por la Universidad de Bonn en el Departamento de Cardiología. Doctor en filosofía por la Universidad de Duisburg-Essen del Departamento de Medicina Integrativa. Y catedrático en el Centro Médico de la Universidad Charité en Berlín. Ahora sí, vayamos a su presentación, con la cual terminaremos el programa del día de hoy, invitándolos a conectarnos mañana a las 3 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time y 5 p.m. horario del Centro de México.
Everybody, my name is Andreas Mikkelsen. I'm professor for integrative medicine here in Berlin at Charité University, and I'm a doctor for internal medicine, an internist, but I focus with my research on effects of natural therapies on prevention and treatment. And let's get started. I will give a brief overview on what I think is the current evidence for forest medicine, for Shinrin Yonku, and for nature itself. And to come back, what is the problem? What is the current situation? The current situation is that our cities are growing very fast. We have mega cities, and living in these mega cities contributes to a lot of stress. It accelerates life rhythms. We have air pollution, noise, and we have not enough physical activities. And there are a lot of data on how population in large cities, what impact has it on health? And we know there is an increase in many psychiatry diseases as depression, anxiety syndromes, or even schizophrenia. And we have to find out what is the cause of this. Is it the overcrowding of cities, or is it just the deficit for nature as illustrated in this picture? That means, do we as modern humans suffer from an increasing nature deficit syndrome? That is what is postulated in this mentioned publication. And again, we have in the current situation the growing cities, the growing agglomerations. We have a rural exodus, a rural depopulation. And at least for Germany, I can say that 75% of all people in Germany live in such urban areas. And so I think to have a first conclusion that we have to make sure that these urban residents, these urban dwellers should have enough access to nature and forest for maintaining their health. To the contrary, what do we know when I just give a short overview for what is forest good for? What is forest bathing or being in the forest or being in healthy nature good? Then we know it relieves stress. I already mentioned it is good against depression and anxiety. It enhances quality of life and sleep. But we have also physiological, somatic functions like the immune system works better. We have anti-inflammation effects, blood pressure, cardiac autonomic function improve, and we have an effect on chronic pain. And this is what we love in Germany when we have the late springtime, a nice forest. And I think we all know that these must be healthy to spend time in such a forest. This is the way from my home to the hospital, which I try to do by bicycle. And here I will declinate what are the single elements of the health related whole effect. So the first is, I mentioned in the cities, we have a lot of noise, we have traffic pollution. In nature and in the forests, we have silence, or we have smooth nature sounds like from birds or just from the wind that moves the leaves. And so the acoustic component is very relaxing. We have on the other side the biochemical compounds that are radiating from the trees, from the flowers. We call it terpenes, or we can call it also phytoncides, because the original reason why nature radiates these substances is that it helps to prevent attacks from microbes or from insects. But these highly active compounds in small doses have healthy effects for a lot of functions in our body. Then in days of the climate change, of the global warming, we realized that the forest is balancing temperature. Here in Germany, we now have also very hot days in the summer. The forest remain cooler. It is more comfortable. In the winter, to the contrary, the forest is not as cold as a plain area. Then when we go to the forest, at least we have some physical activities. I'm fully aware that a lot of proponents of the forest bathing don't think that the physical activity should be too strong, and I agree, but at least there is some physical activity that gives a nice additive effect. Then we have the visual effects, especially the green color, when there is a lake or a river, the blue color. We have a very nice light, shades of light, and I come to it later. What does it mean for our body? How does our body react? And finally, this is the last factor. We feel calm or peaceful mostly when we are in a forest or in a nature environment. And there's a saying from a German poet. He says, the forest is non-judging about us. It is a pleasant environment, and thus it may help to increase mindfulness, focusing on one topic and not being further stressed by multitasking. What is the case? What is the reality in daily life for most of us? So here in another scientific publication, just to underline this, here are also summarized these effects. We have a structural complexity of vegetation, we have visual characteristics, we have temperature, we have a lot of soft effects, and this reduces stress. And what is very interesting here, it is not only good for our mental health or our physical health, it is also good for our social health. I think this is, the authors here are right in underlining this. And in this publication, they give also a short overview that they say, in total, what does the lack of nature experience contribute to disease cases? And again, they give here numbers that are highly relevant: 7% of all depression or 9% of all cases of high blood pressure. There are other publications, I will show them in brief, that give different, sometimes higher numbers, but this is a first estimate. So I come now to the somatic and physiological effects, the benefits of forest medicine, of staying, of being in the forest. And this research starts with a very early publication of Roger Ulrich in Science. It was published in 1984. More than 30 years ago. Ulrich, he had a lot of ideas about healthy buildings, healthy hospitals. And in a surgical setting, he compared patients that underwent a gallbladder surgery, a gallbladder operation, and he compared the recovery of that surgery in patients that had a nice view to nature in their hospital room, or the other half of the patients had to look on a wall, just on a wall of bricks and concrete. And he found that the recovery was faster and was better in these patients that had a nice view out of their window. This was one of the really early pivotal researches done in that field. And now there are already meta-analysis or systematic reviews. It is the nature of these reviews that they have different inclusion criteria. So sometimes there are less or more studies included. Here in this work, published in 2017, they found evidence with a solid and good design in 6 clinical trials. And here you see it is hypertension, it is cardiac and pulmonary function, immune function, inflammation, and then there is how to say, a multiple possibility of multiple numbers: stress hormones, anxiety, depression, and emotional response. So this is, I think, this gives a first impression. So where is nature and forest medicine especially helpful? So again, we have this here, and also mentioned is here what may also contribute to these factors. Again, so green scenery, fresh air, sunlight, clean water, rocks, soil, soothing sounds of streams, birds, and natural aromas, terpenes of trees, plants, and flowers. There are also some very interesting studies that compared specifically when we are outdoor and when we exercise outdoor, which is good for health anyway. Any exercise and physical activity appears to be good. Does it make a difference if it is in a nature setting, in a nature environment, or if it is in a non-nature, in an urban environment? And here in one of the earliest study, it was nicely shown that if this activity is performed in forest, there's less perceived stress, less negative effect, and more greater mental well-beings. So it really makes difference, what means that I recommend all my patients always to check out if physical activity is possible in the forest or in a natural environment. It's also good to go in a gym, but it is better to perform and to exercise in nature. And there were also studies here done in Japan where you see the autonomic nervous system, the heart rate variability is better if the walk is performed in an urban park, as shown here, compared to a city area. This compares favorably. And this effect on the autonomic nervous system is very important generally. We know nowadays, even from meta-analysis, that there is a blood pressure lowering effect of Shinrin-yoku, forest bathing, as highlighted here. And the mean difference is moderate to good. It's not extremely good, but it is good. And so that we see there is a clear anti-hypertensive effect of forest bathing. Or here a study in an 8-week period done by Mary Carol Hunter. The patients, the subjects were just recommended, they were asked to spend time in a place of nature where they feel a sense of contact with nature, and this should happen at least 3 times a week for at least 10 minutes. And they found out that this, they named it the nature pill, that this has good effects on salivary biomarkers as cortisol or prolactin and on well-being generally. And again, when we advise sports or exercise, I already mentioned it, there is a very nice, a very important study that compared a fast walk here in London in a city situation here at the Oxford Street, or in the nice surrounding of Hyde Park. The same exercise, the same effort, the same speed. And there are here different, in these charts, different outcomes illustrated. There were people with cardiovascular risk, people with lung disease and healthy. And here is the expiratory volume, forced. And you see a large difference in the lung function, which improves when there's exercise done in the park, in the Hyde Park. And there's even some deterioration, at least for the people with lung disease, when they exercise in the wrong place. So it is not always a good idea to go for running or jogging. I see this sometimes in big cities, people put on their shoes, their sport shoes, and they go running in an urban area. This might be not beneficial indeed. And here are other outcomes. Here is the pulse wave velocity. This is a parameter for relaxation of the blood vessels. And again, you see a good effect for Hyde Park, but not as good, indeed a bad effect for Oxford Street. And this is true also for, here for the augmentation index, another parameter. Slight differences, but not as impressive for blood pressure, but there are differences, and for heart rate. And there were also other studies comparing exercise in forest or in an urban area, here performed by Mao and co-workers and published in 2012. Here a forest site and here a city site. And there were 2 walks in forest or in city. And they found out a very clear differential effect of being in forest on immunological and inflammatory markers here on interleukin, on tumor necrosis factor. And you see it very, very clearly how this difference, what magnitude it has. It is really relevant. And so I come to the psychological effects of forest bathing. And they're related also to the social effects. I just want to introduce here a study which again underlines the importance of being mindful. That means not having a wandering mind, a multitasking or a multi-thinking mind, but a mind which is focused. And this was one of the very important studies published in Science 2010, where it was shown that when people's minds wandered frequently, and that is what we all suffer from. Now we think, oh, we have that to do, and there's this problem and that problem. And if we do that, and in this situation, we drive a car or we listen to music, this is a burden, this is a problem for our brain, and in the result we are less happy if this is happening. The ability to think about what is not happening is a cognitive achievement that comes at an emotional cost, the authors summarized. And I show this slide and I mentioned this study from Killingsworth because there are a lot of techniques like meditation or sitting in silence that try to achieve a mindfulness, a focusing, but we can also achieve this by being just in nature, in a nice natural environment, because here we have a feel of being at home. A sense of coherence is also what we can call this. And I think this is an effect we should always be aware that is very important in forest therapy. It's a little bit romantic here by Jean-Jacques Rousseau, Retour à la nature. So we feel this is the place where it's good to be. And this is a kind of a mindfulness basic notion. And also there are studies that shown here that did not investigate being in nature, but feeling connected to nature and happiness. And even this, if we ask people, how you feel in your life setting, in your daily life, feel you connected to nature? There's a clear evidence. It is not very high. The effect size is 0.3, 0.4, 0.2. But there is a clear effect that feeling connected to nature gives us relief and makes us happy. And again, there are studies here from the group of Miyazaki, psychological effects of walking in forests. And this is what we all want to have, less depression, and better or more vitality in this, as you see here, for example, the vitality score, just by being in the forest. There's a study from Finland, from a very renowned research group. They only showed films to students of a natural scenery, of a forest scenery as depicted here, or from an urban scenery. And they found that even watching only a 50-minute video of a forest compared to an urban environment not only raises mood and feeling of being vital, it also decreases procrastination in students. That means students were thereafter, when viewing a forest video, better and more efficient in doing their works. And here again, increase in vitality after forest bathing, less depression, less anxiety. This was assessed by the profile of mood states, very validated inventory. And then there's the question, well, if it's so good, how long should we stay in forest if we have the choice, if it is feasible for us? If we live in a mega city, it's not so easy to come to a natural environment. But first, it is important to know about which quantity are we talking. And here data from England, from the group of Matthew White. He's very active in researching effects of nature. He calculated from a large database that about 120 minutes is very effective for well-being. If he analyzed the groups that spend more time here, over 180 minutes or over 300 minutes, there was no incremental effect. So the good news here is that 2 hours, 120 minutes appears to be sufficient, or appears to be a very good basis for us. Spending 2 hours a week in nature appears to be a very good measure. And it doesn't matter if it is 2 hours in one block or if it is 8 times 50 minutes. This appeared not to matter. So in Nature, this was summarized, all the evidence, all the data by the title, A Natural High. So it makes us happy. And I mentioned already the social component. And I think what's very important is a lot of things that are good for us psychologically are dependent on income, on social factors or other factors. And here we clearly have something what is open for everybody. And so this is, I think, this is very important for forest medicine. It is a very fair medicine. And I like that very much, that notion. Then there are questions, well, would it be sufficient just to look at a picture of forest? I mentioned the study from Finland already, and here again the Japanese researchers put it to the test. They just gave some few minutes, 1.5 minutes or 2 minutes, a vision free to a forest scenery or to an urban scenery, just looking on this plasma screen. And they even found after this very short period of time a statistically different effect here on stress activity in selected brain areas. So it might be that also looking just on a nature picture, on a forest picture, might be good for us. However, I don't think that this would be a clear substitute for spending time in a real forest. There are studies from Germany, here from Heidelberg, the famous University of Heidelberg, where by smartphone app they tracked people where they spend time, and they in very short in a very short time they repeatedly ask them how they feel, content, discontent, unwell or well. And they found out that when these people moved through the city or by bicycle or by car. So anytime when they were in a more green space, they were happier. And when they, before and at the end, when they checked that with functional MRIs of the brain, they found out that these people that had more access to nature and more often access to nature, they reacted better to a stress, and this could be visualized by these brain scans. So when we have visual effects, we have clear anti-stress effects, but we also have these aromatic compounds. These terpenes are already mentioned. Here are just a few of it mentioned. These are also spices, but it is all present also in the forest. And we also see, and this makes it maybe a very interesting topic these times, these terpenes, they have antimicrobial effects, they have antiviral effects, antibacterial effects, which is clearly known and which is shown here, for example, in this slide. So what we don't know is which dose, is the dose sufficient to have a clinically relevant antimicrobial effect? This is still something research is performed and further research is necessary. What we know that all these secondary plant substances, they are pharmacological against microbes active. And we have a lot of them. And I already mentioned the name phytoncides. It is a protection. It's a protection built by nature against microbes and insects. By the way, they have pleasant odors. Please excuse, here's a mistake. It should be aromatherapy. And this also contributes to the positive emotional effect. And these terpenes are also research. There are a lot of research groups that try to analyze and better understand these effects, especially in the era of a pandemic as today. Here, for example, is alpha-pinene, one of the very important terpenes in forest shown. Let me now just come to the last remarks, to the last pictures. Here, I just want to summarize that we should take it all, I think, from the forest, or we should be in one with the forest. And if we do exercise in the forest, if we do it mindful, I think this is an add-on effect we should use. And just also to quantify that, we know that the most beneficial, the most positive effects of physical activity are not in that area where you perform more and more, but if you are if you have a sitting lifestyle and you move a little bit, then you gain a lot of benefits. And so this must be not running through the forest. This can be a mindful walk once a week. And there's also this part of physical activity integrated. But the final question I want to talk about is, when we have no ability to stay in a forest because it's too far away, or we have no day free, we are at work and we just have to stay in our environment, does it make sense to have a garden or to have some plants in the room or to go into a park? And this is very, I think, sufficiently answered and investigated from science. We know this from Canada studies, that if you have 11 or more trees in a city block on average, you have a lot of metabolic and psychological benefits. They even calculated that from a biological point of view, you are getting 1.4 years younger if you have this number of trees in your surrounding. There are also studies from Australia that underline that. So we know that the distance to the next park, as well as the number of trees in your direct surrounding, are important denominators of health. And they even did a randomized study here in areas of Philadelphia, city of Philadelphia. They randomized 3 groups. One group there was no intervention planned. Another group was started an initiative for cleaning up the district. And the third group, there was set up an intervention together with public support of planting trees, supporting green in the direct surrounding. So here you see a green area was planted, and the effects were really impressive. Summarized here in this cluster randomized trial of urban greening and mental health, 342 participants were included, and there was a decrease of feeling depressed by over 40%, and poor mental health showed a reduction of over 60%. So very relevant effect just by bringing more green into the direct surrounding. So we should, I think about everything, what is possible. It can be vertical green. It just can be a plant in our living room. Every kind of green should be beneficial for us, for our mental and physiological health. And so I come to the last point. So we are researching and studying the medical effects of staying more time in nature. We have 3 randomized studies ongoing. One is regarding supportive cancer care. I think as Dr. Jun Lee will explain in this digital symposium, he showed that there's an increase in killer cells when staying in forest. And this anti-inflammatory effect also points to a possible positive effect in cancer patients. And we have a program for exercise and for psychological support here in our hospital. And we will compare one program that is only done in rooms and one program that is done in nature and in the park. This is a picture of our park in the hospital. And we want to find out if this favors well, if this program is established in full nature. Then we have a forest therapy study on metabolic syndrome in patients with ongoing diabetes type 2 and high blood pressure and obesity. We postulate that also obesity might be a good outcome for research in forest medicine, because this connectedness to nature also gives some more mindfulness for the own body. And then we have here a study done in a park in the inner city of Berlin, regular park walks in inner city compared to an urban area, a little bit comparable to the studies performed in China and in Japan, but we want to know if this holds true also for Europe, because there is another important point. We talk about forest and we talk about nature, but everywhere in the world, the nature is very different. The forest in Germany, the trees here are different from the trees in California or in Mexico or in Japan. Probably all are good, but it might be that there are differential effects. We don't know. And so I think it makes sense to do these studies in different countries with their local nature and their local forest. And there's some final issue I want to mention. this having more nature in our surrounding is a basic postulate I have. I think we should stay more time in nature, more time in forests, and we should try to decrease our connection to the fully digital and electrical world. So we know it's also bad for our health if we are exposed to a lot of artificial light in the night. It makes our sleep very, very better if we sleep in dark rooms. And if we have sounds, it's better to have natural sounds like birds or smooth water sounds. So again, here we see that nature is our program too. And this is the last slide. So I want to summarize that there is clear evidence that forest bathing, staying in forest is good for our health. Of course, the evidence is not sufficient. Most of the studies are small or smaller. We need more large-scale trials. And we need also to know more about the differential effects. Not every disease will be cured by forest medicine, of course, but we need better to define which groups of patients benefit the most. And I think we also have to check out what is highlighted in this chart, that this notion of connectedness to nature, or here, having a sense of purpose, a sense of coherence. This is, I think, a very important of understanding why the forest is so good for us. It is, of course, also the bioactive compounds, but it is also coming back to our home, feeling at home, feeling in nature. And this slide shows that whenever we have a sense of purpose in our life, when we have a sense of coherence, we have less mortality in a defined period. That means we have an extension of life period, and especially of healthy life period. So thanks for listening to my talk. And I hope that we have a broad and a bright future in forest medicine, and hopefully we can all share our research and contribute that forest medicine will be a part in the future of medicine, of integrative medicine. So thanks for listening, and bye-bye from Berlin, Germany.